Look, it is really difficult to prove fraud after an election because you have only a short period of time. It's hard and difficult to gather the evidence, takes a lot of time and resources. And what all of this illustrates is you want to be sure that it doesn't happen in the first place.
Yes.
And the only way that's going to happen, is two things that have to be done right now. Okay, one of them is stopping, as DeRoy was talking about, H.R. 1, which is coming down the pike this week, okay, which will basically put in the worst rules you can imagine in all the states and will ban states from having basic security protocols like voter ID laws. But the second thing is getting the state legislatures right now while they're in session to fix all of these problems and all of these issues and doing just basic common sense things like putting in voter ID laws that apply to both in-person and absentee balloting.
You know, one of the things that's difficult about H.R. 1 that's coming to the floor of the House next week, and it's designed to federalize all election law, which is really designed to be run by the state legislatures. Has to be run by the states, agreed, per the Constitution. So,
yeah, I mean, you're right. The Constitution says that the election laws are supposed to be governed by the states. H.R. 1 says,
H.R. 1 is an
Constitution, whatever, we're going to do our own thing, which is sort of their outlook on a lot of things.
Here's the reason that this is so difficult to swallow is this election actually was lost very closely. The Washington Post reported that fewer than 45,000 votes would have swung it in a different direction across three different states. 42,000 votes, 45,000 votes, something like that, and we would have had an electoral college vote of 269 to 269. Back then, Republicans had the majority in the House of Representatives. They would have voted, and President Trump would have had a second term, and something like H.R. 1 would not be able to go through. There are going to be many consequences that we're facing because such a close election was lost. And with all of these efforts from the media, from the judges, from the left, all of these efforts still came to a very close race.
Yeah, but that's why these kind of state law provisions can make a difference. And again, if I just go back to it very quickly to show what a difference it could make. H.R. 1 bans all state voter ID laws at the very same time that it requires all states to put in same-day voter registration. You understand what that means? That means that I could walk into any polling place on Election Day, say that my name is not Hans von Spakovsky, but Tom Swift, and I live at 100 Main Street. They have to register me and immediately let me vote, and they can't ask me for an ID to verify who I am that actually live in that area. I could then leave that polling place and go to the next polling place down the street, immediately register under the name Tom Smith, vote, and keep doing it all day, and there's absolutely nothing state officials could do to stop it if H.R. 1 is passed.
Well, we're going to stop. We have to fight. At the end of this session, we'll be forcing out to your apps a means for you to contact your legislator. You'll put in some information, and you'll be able to send them a letter telling them to vote against it. And our goal really is that not a single Republican in the House votes for this thing. We need to have a unified front to fight it. It's going to be a challenge. It's going to be a challenge, and
yeah, well, it will be a challenge. But look, I mean, we need to fight on this one, and I think this is probably going to go down to a party line vote. I don't know if we can peel away any of the Democrats in the Senate on this, but we all ought to be talking to everyone who know. Contact your lawmakers, contact your friends, call radio stations, go on local television, whatever access to the media you have, and just scream bloody murder about this thing. Because if this goes through, all the garbage we saw last November is going to be baked into the U.S. code.
Yeah, and look, this actually there should be a bipartisan effort in the states to stop this, because I don't care whether you're a Republican state legislator or a Democratic state legislator, you ought to be angry at the idea that Washington is going to usurp your role and tell you how to run elections in your state. The residents of that state, through their elected representatives, are the ones who make that decision. H.R. 1, I think, is the most anti-democratic bill I've seen in my 20 years in Washington.
That says a lot.
It does say
And they call it what, the For the People Act, right?
Right.
We call it the Not For the People Act. It's Orwellian bill names.
So we're going to wrap it up pretty quickly. And just what is one of the most egregious things that you think happened in this last election cycle that caused us to be where we are today?
Absentee ballots. Look, nobody disputes that we need them for people who are in the military and overseas, or for people who are so physically disabled they can't make it to the polling place. But other than that, we should all be voting in person. And the biggest mistake that was made in the last election, in addition to the fact that voter rolls are in notoriously bad shape around the country, is that there was this huge push to go to absentee ballots. COVID-19 was used as an excuse, even though all of us are safely going to our grocery stores and our pharmacies. And the whole problem with absentee ballots is this. They're the only kind of ballot that are voted outside the supervision of election officials and outside the observation of poll watchers. And that makes them the most vulnerable to being altered, changed, forged, and it makes voters vulnerable in their homes to pressure and coercion to vote a particular way. And that is the whole problem with them. And I think that was the biggest problem with this past election.
Thanks for watching the Heritage Foundation's YouTube channel. With more than 500,000 members, we are the nation's largest conservative research and education institution. We believe the principles and ideas of the American founding are worth conserving and renewing. Please help us further our mission by subscribing to this channel and sharing our videos with your family and friends.